Well, today's video is definitely going to be short because even though it's Saturday night, I was able to score reservations at Dorsia at 8 o'clock with Paul Owen. I know! But before we get started, time for a quick shameless merch plug, letting you know you can get your very own TRD Amateur and Tacomaholic patch on the website linked below. Ready to ship. Get these out to you guys as soon as possible. And I do have some vinyl decals and even some Tacomaholic key tags coming, hopefully in a week or so, so please stay tuned for that. Okay everyone, so the topic of today's video is 5 things that I personally regret purchasing for my truck. This is just to drive home the fact that you definitely need to do your research when buying things for your Tacoma, because there are a ton of products out there. Do your research and hopefully save yourself some money. As you can see, the things I purchased on this list that I'm going to go through in just a second, none of them are cheap, and some of them were replaced multiple times, so you'd think I'd learn my lesson, but apparently I did not. Doesn't matter where I go, they still find me. Okay, first up, we are staying right here at the back of the truck. All right, this is my all-pro off-road high clearance bumper, which, to be fair, this is probably the only thing on this list of 5 things that it doesn't really bother me. But the story behind this is I had gotten rear-ended. There's a bee or something trying to make a nest right there. So I had gotten rear-ended when I had my factory bumper, and it turns out, you know, whenever you get into an accident, you can just have everything fixed, or you can get a check for the damages, you know, depending on what it is, obviously, and get it fixed elsewhere. So I was able to get a check for all the damages, and if I had painted an off-road bumper like this one right here myself, this was only going to cost me $50 more compared to just getting another factory Toyota bumper. So that seemed like an easy decision to me. So the only reason I got this bumper was because it really only cost me 50 bucks. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. It was not the bumper I was initially looking at. Eventually I want to get one of those like super high clearance that you actually have to cut and it goes all the way through to the fender. And you guys know me, that's probably coming at some point, but for the time being, I do have a rear off-road bumper, so got plenty of other stuff to do before I upgrade from the All-Pro one to something else. Second thing on the list, I know some of you probably say I regret purchasing my headlights, which, I don't know, that's probably another video coming on that, but for the time being, no. What I'm going to talk about for number 2 is when I was still running the factory, you know, regular clear Toyota Tacoma headlights, I did for a while have some LED bulbs for my main headlight bulb, which is also the high beam, of course. So, as you guys know, when you put any kind of like HID or LED bulb in a housing that's not specifically built for it, the results can be questionable at best. So I will admit that I was running those for a little while. To be fair, the cutoff for the LEDs I was running, they was perfectly fine, so it wasn't super glary. And I even tested this out. I had other people, you know, drive my truck at me just to see what it looked like firsthand, because I know usually we think it's not that bad, but when you're sitting at car level, it's much worse than what we actually think. So the LED bulbs I was running, they were a 5000K, so it was just pure white. It wasn't anything like the blue or the purple or anything like that. But I will say, I mean, I think LED bulbs are great as of right, you know, today, 2018, I think LED bulbs are great for every light on your truck except the headlights, because the output, even though, you know, they give it a high lumen rating and all that, the output, even compared to the factory halogens, it just wasn't there. It just seemed maybe about 50%, and the brights not that much better. So of course now I do have a complete proper HID retrofit kit, and the light output on these is amazing. But just wanted to share that one with you in case you guys are considering running LED bulbs in your factory housings. And the ones I got, they were decent. They were about 100 bucks, and you know, they lasted for, I think I had them for about 2 years or so. I was not pleased with the light output on those, so just keep that in mind if you are considering upgrading your headlights. I wouldn't even really consider it an upgrade, really, if you are thinking about swapping to LED bulbs for your main headlight bulb. Next on the list, also staying up here at the front of the truck for a while, and not too long, thankfully, I did have a bull bar, or, you know, push bar, whatever you want to call them, nudge bar. Not a legitimate Australian bull bar like ARB, not, you know, the full bumper replacement. That's a completely different thing. It's pretty much just a light bar that connects under the truck sticks up, you know, about this high. And before I had my truck wrap, you can actually see where it got pushed back and sort of rubbed on my bumper. This is one of those things I purchased, one of the first things I purchased for my truck before I really, you know, knew what the aftermarket scene was for the Toyota Tacoma. And I thought it was going to give me protection from the front, and those things aren't really going to protect you against anything. They are, I guess, useful for mounting, you know, off-road lights and stuff like that. But again, you can do like, you know, pods up there, you can do light bars in the grill, all that stuff that I think sort of makes the truck look a lot better. Bull bar is definitely not my thing, and again, they aren't cheap. I think that thing was about $200 or $300, and I had it on there not too long, 6 months at most, pulled it off, and thankfully I was able to sell it on Craigslist. Bull bars aren't necessarily bad if you never plan on going off-roading, but don't hide under the illusion that you're going to get any kind of protection unless it's maybe like shopping carts in the mall parking lot, which I do, of course, hang out in all the time. But when you go off-road, they actually be more of a liability because they do stick forward, probably another 6 inches or so. Mine stuck forward probably about that far. So that's just going to ruin your approach angle. And the one I had also, it did have some kind of thin, it looked like a skid plate, but I mean, come on, it was about as much of a skid plate as the factory Toyota one is, so not much protection there either. Okay, so the last two things on my list are very similar types of products, and again, do your research when you're buying stuff for your Tacoma. As you can see now, I have full bolt-on steel sliders that bolt right to the frame, so these will offer tons of protection. They even stick out, giving me protection from door dings, again, when I'm, you know, cruising the mall parking lot, which I do all the time. So again, one of the first things I purchased for my truck was a set of black, they weren't like the genuine Toyota, but very similar, just Nerf bars, so step-ups into the truck. To be honest, I don't even know why I got them, because my truck wasn't even lifted at the time. I mean, I'm not a tall guy, but I had no problems getting in the truck. Looking back, it was probably to help my wife and daughter get in the truck. And there is nothing wrong with Nerf bars, but again, if you plan on going off-roading, they're going to be more of a liability because they do hang down quite a bit, because where the sliders actually bolt to the frame and come straight out so you don't lose any ground clearance, the Nerf bars actually bolt down from your rockers and then stick out. So you probably lose at least 5 or 6 inches from that, and they are going to offer zero protection and probably get hung up on tons of stuff. So I thought I was fixing the problem. I got rid of the Nerf bars, again, sold those on Craigslist or something, and then I bought a set of the N-Fab, I think they were called rock rails, which to someone like me who didn't do their homework, I thought those were the sliders that I have now. And just like Nerf bars, they bolted exactly right to the rocker panel, hung down, stuck out. I suppose they offered a little more protection than Nerf bars, but nowhere near the protection that true sliders are going to give you. And again, nothing wrong with the rock rails or whatever they're called now. I actually did a video review on those, so you can check that out if you want. I will link that above. It was one of my older videos, so just bear that in mind. But if you do plan on going off-roading, just go ahead and get a set of real sliders, because you can see they do stick out far enough, especially with the door open, so you can still use those as steps. You can see it's at least a hand width. The price of the Nerf bars I had and these rock rails was more than I paid for the sliders I have, so complete waste of money. Of course, I was able to also sell the N-Fab rock rails on Craigslist or something and able to recoup a little bit of that. All right, everyone, that will do it for this video. Hopefully some of these things might help you save money. Do your homework when you are purchasing things for your Tacoma. The aftermarket scene is huge, and I don't want you to end up like me where you bought something that you're going to later regret. And of course, that's a huge waste of money that you could have spent on something you're actually going to need, want, and use for your truck. So that is it for this video. Perfect timing, because it does look like it is going to thunderstorm any second. That is always my luck. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you in the next video.